it is worth fighting for. It doesn't have to be that way. Your kids do not have to be the reason that your romantic connection dies. And in fact, they could be the reason to put the effort in.
Welcome to the Sex After Kids podcast, a place for parents to come and learn together about the sometimes bumpy road back into the saddle of their sex life after adoption, childbirth, or joining a blended family. I am your host, Sophia Ashley, certified sex educator and sex coach, mother and stepmother, and your totally TMI guide to becoming BFFs with your body and initiating easy, connected, and confident, naked, sexy fun times. Here we are, one part science of sex, one part mindfulness magic, and one part straight up real talk to help you find the spark in your relationship and yourself after kids. I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Sex After Kids podcast. Today, I want to talk about what's going on in your inside voice and put it on the outside, because I just want to say it out loud. If you are in a sexless marriage, chances are, or a marriage where sex is a bit of a struggle, chances are that you have had at least one moment where you thought, wouldn't this be easier on my own? Maybe you have fantasized about packing a bag or having sex with someone else who just gets your body, or wondered if you would be happier solo. Followed immediately, probably, like me, God, no, I do not want to date again. Seriously, who has the energy for dating apps and first date small talk? But if you're flirting with the D word, because you might be, even just in your mind, let's talk about it a little bit out loud, because silence and shame only makes things worse, and you deserve support, not secrets. This episode is for the couples who are teetering a little bit closer to the edge, getting pretty tired of the roommate zone and wondering if there's hope for passion and connection before it gets to the point of no return, or really that place of how much longer do I want to do this for? And we want to start with kind of the myth of it all, which is that most of us equate kids with the end of our sex life. We've had kids, we have a dead bedroom. That's normal. That's to be expected. That's the way it goes. And if you're fighting for your sex life, I don't have to say this, but it is worth fighting for. It doesn't have to be that way. Your kids do not have to be the reason that your romantic connection dies. And in fact, they could be the reason to put the effort in, right? Because when we're having more sex, when we're having more intimacy, when we are more connected, not only is our relationship better, which makes everything in life and our parenting better, but we're also role modeling to our kids what can be possible. And I invite you to think about where that myth kind of comes from, because I couldn't actually tell you of an older couple that I know that has modeled to me what an erotically alive, passionate relationship looks like after, 40, 50. We see pecks on the cheeks. We may have never seen our parents even touch each other. Maybe they just sat next to each other on the couch. We saw the quieter form of intimacy that comes from being together in a long-term relationship. And I don't want to minimize that. That stuff is important. And how many of us have actually seen or know a couple that out loud has a really active sex life and is erotically alive together after a certain age? And if you need a role model in that, one of the early episodes, I did an interview with a fellow sex coach who is in her 60s down in Australia. And she talks about how, the first 3 decades of their relationship was actually quite a struggle, and they're now in the best place ever because of this erotic kind of awakening that she had in her 40s. And statistically, our best sex is actually ahead of us, not behind. So we think that our sex lives were better in our 20s, but actually, as we give less fucks, as we let go of the pressure and performance, as we allow ourselves to learn more about sex, because you're here and listening, our sex lives can improve. So if you are here listening to this, fighting for, making a case for investing in your sex life with your partner, know that I am 100% behind you. Having kids doesn't have to kill your sex life. We don't have to say, well, we have kids, so there's just no sex. There are many reasons to fight for that. It may be harder. It may look different in different seasons of parenting, but it can still very much exist. And if I'm an advocate for anything, it is the fact that you get to create together what your sex life looks like. It is possible to find your way back, even if things feel really cold right now. So let's get honest about what keeps couples spinning their wheels in a sexless marriage. So I often see people waiting for your partner's libido to magically come back, or waiting for your own libido to magically come back. And it's easy to hope that if you just wait long enough, wait for the kids to sleep through the night, wait to lose the 10 pounds, wait to, it will just return on its own. But desire isn't like a lost sock that suddenly just reappears in the laundry. It needs attention, action, and intention. And waiting keeps you both passive, lonely, and resentful, watching the gap getting wider, bigger, not closer. The other mistake I see is that believing fixing the mental load will fix everything. And I want to note here, okay, the mental load is important. Your partner's stress level is important. How you both feel supported in the day-to-day, how much of a team you feel like is important. And it's not the silver bullet. And it's not the silver bullet for two reasons. One, if we overinvest in that, hoping it's going to get us laid, it can feel transactional and like a performance. And the reality is there are 5 jobs for 2 people, and there's just always going to be more to do, which doesn't mean we shouldn't share what's happening more equitably. And it does mean that even if we do share things more equitably and there is some relief in that way, it's still not going to magically make the libido snap back, or magically give everybody more me time, or magically wake up people's erotic connection with themselves. Those things still take their own intention and effort. Okay. Another one here is bringing good guy, good girl, good partner energy. That means bending over backwards to please. You try harder, you pick up the slack, you become endlessly agreeable, you organize all the date nights, and you hope that being super nice, not rocking the boat, shutting up about the fact that you want more sex will bring the spark back. But instead, you end up burnt out, invisible, quietly resentful. And passion does not grow from a place of self-abandonment. It comes from honesty, boundaries, and being seen as a whole, desiring human. Now, I don't want this to get confused, okay? There are places where we do need to step up. There are places where we need to do our own work. There are places where we need to shift. And if we are so focused on this fix it energy and like everything I can do to fix it, and if we're so focused on like making this right, we end up in a little bit of a like chase energy, which doesn't create sort of that erotic energy. And it means we are like self-effacing in that process. And so it's not to be blunt, it's not a fuck me or I'll leave you type of situation. But it is this matters to me. And I want us to feel like we're tackling it as a team, because we both have stuff to work on here. And that means sometimes as the higher libido partner, you need to stop putting the blame on your partner and saying, as soon as their libido's fixed and as soon as their messed up stuff is fixed, everything will be better, because you've got some stuff to own in that too. And as the lower libido partner, it can't be as soon as you stop asking and as soon as you take all the pressure away and as soon as you jump through all the magic invisible hoops that I create, then things will be better too. It's about both of you coming together and deciding as a couple that you want to be together, that you want to be sexually active, that sex in and of itself is a pleasurable thing, or could be a pleasurable thing that matters to your health, to your body, to how you want to role model to your children, and you want to learn together. Okay? The last trap I see is expecting each other to have the answers when neither of you was taught how. So a lot of times couples are grasping at straws, You're trying to solve the puzzle without the picture on the box. So sometimes you'll see like a viral post about the mental load, or you'll hear that date nights fix everything. And so you latch on to these piecemeal solutions, or you're looking at your partner saying, what can I do? And they just literally don't know. They don't know what to tell you how to fix this. And so both of you are trying to fix a problem with no how, no concept of how to do that. And that doesn't make you stupid or unmotivated. It makes you miseducated, okay? Because as a society, we don't talk about sex. So you just are missing information on how to move forward. And if you keep relying on both of yours incomplete understanding of the problem, then you're just going to keep jumping through hoops that don't actually get you anywhere. Okay. It is not a personal failing. It's a gap in sex education, communication, and support. So what actually works then? If you want your marriage to feel alive, then you got to put something real on the line. Like I said, not in a sleep with me or I'll leave way, but with honesty and vulnerability. Are we on the same team here? Do we both want more, and are we willing to work for it? And what would it look like to start rebuilding together? It is about starting the hard conversations. It's about naming what you miss. It's about finding the shared goals and co-creating a path forward. And sometimes it means asking for help, therapy, or coaching, or just a safe space to have a more productive conversation about this, because our emotions can get in the way and our little inner childs can get in the way, and that can be not a very effective conversation. It can be scary to have that conversation. It can be scary to put the cards on the table. And I also ask you, what is the cost of not, right? Do you want to live another 15 years in a marriage that's in zombie mode, or do you want to put the cards on the table and see what's going to happen? Because if your partner's happy in zombie mode and you are not, then you have a clear answer on who you're working with and what they're willing to do. And you don't want to feel like them to feel like it's emotional blackmail. It's about agreeing on, like I said, wanting to be together and wanting to be in the best version of our relationship that we can possibly muster in this season, and to be always working on it. So some practical steps for rebuilding intimacy when you are in this place. The first is starting the honest conversation. I miss us. I want more for both of us. Can we talk about it? And shifting from blame to curiosity. So instead of why don't you want me, try like what would help us feel close again. And I have several episodes about communication. I'll link them in the show notes below with different prompts and ways to approach this conversation in a healthy way. The other is to take some small risks, little moments of affection, sharing a fantasy, booking that sex date if you listen to the last couple episodes for no pressure sex and just time together. This is what the Roommates to Romance Challenge is perfect for. It's my 14-day challenge. That's just $9. You get a prompt a day in your email. You can do them for under 5 minutes just to recreate the feeling of, I love you, I want to connect with you. There's no pressure for sex yet. Or there's no pressure for sex. There's a hope that we can reconnect in that way. And another piece here is to make it a team project. Truly, it is us against the problem. This isn't just your job or theirs. Neither of you is broken. We don't need to fix anything. We need to learn new tools so we can do this differently. If you are feeling like you are stuck on eggshells because you don't even know what to do anymore, I want you to know that you don't have to keep living in this space. If you are ready to get honest, to put things on the line and co-create a relationship that feels alive again, then I invite you to book a free spark session with me. Let's talk together about what are the core issues. Let's get clear on that. Let's map a script for how to talk to your partner, and let's figure out what your next steps are to get from where you are today back to a thriving relationship full of intimate, connected, naked fun. Thank you for being here, my friends, and I will catch you next week.
This is the part where we do the end bit, right? My friends, let's take a mindfulness minute here. Take a deep breath in. Open that mouth and let out a big, deep, full body sigh. Voila. Your nervous system thanks you. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope that your head and your heart have something new to consider, something new to talk about and something new to try. No husbands were harmed in the making of this podcast, and a big thank you to my husband for his help and original music composition. Love you, babe. This podcast was recorded on the traditional territories of the Kwanlin First Nation and Tonquachan Council in Whitehorse, Yukon. We acknowledge and are grateful to the original stewards of this land where we get to play, live, and raise our children. You can catch me on the Instagram at the Happy V Project for tips, tools, and anecdotes. And you can also join the weekly-ish newsletter for dispatches from my bedroom and my brain. Catch you next time.